computer. Okay. And let me download this one.
Hmm.
All right. Oh, come on. Idiot over there.
Oh, do I have to say, I'm gonna put, got it. All right.
Okay. So I love a lot of things about this piece. There's only a couple things I'm questioning, I guess, is how do you feel? I love this blue splatter here.
Mm-hmm.
And I love her shirt and the face. Like I love the way the tonality in the shirt and the empty space and the shape of the shirt. I love everything about it. And I think you did a good job on the skirt too. And I love this section over here. Tell me about this section. Like
I don't see, I see this kind of as a series, and this one to
okay.
me, even before it was the cave, is like the autumn.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to have leaves, the leaves there, and some leaves up in the upper left, and some leaves in her hair. So that's what that was about.
Okay. So what I would do, it just kind of feels like it's a box, like it's like in another dimension.
Boxy.
It
Okay.
feels like it's disconnect. I mean, it's referencing all those things, but it feels very disconnected from like her current time or situation,
I think
right?
it's because I was collaging it, and that's the way the paper was.
Right. So, but the easiest thing to do is that it's kind of go back to that mentality of weaving. And then the easiest thing to do would be to like just take a woody crayon
Oh, yeah.
or and draw some of the leaves
Mm-hmm.
into this other space. And so if it's like a bunch of leaves flying around, there's probably going to be like leaves over here and leaves over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a few more leaves like
Mm-hmm.
outside of the box. And it
Okay.
doesn't have to be a ton. It could simply be, like one more. Can you
Yeah.
see your little cursor right here?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
see
so one more like up here, maybe one here. You don't have
it.
to busy the area, but you just want to get rid of the box. The other thing is that the box, the background of those leaves is like black,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
then this is brown. So maybe
Bring some
either
brown
one
in.
or one or the other. You either take black into the brown so that the box goes away and it's just looks like the leaves are floating there, or you take brown into the black,
Yeah,
right?
I think I do the brown into the black. Okay.
Right. So one, and you can literally just you could add just a little bit of wax medium. The other thing you could do, and this is like sort of what I think is so fun about encaustics, is that like you're presented with a situation and there's like more than one way to fix it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so another way to fix it would be to like add more wax over those leaves and then draw little leaves in there and then, embed
Okay.
with pigment stick. So that's a solution, right? So it's like
Mm-hmm.
change the tonality, draw extra leaves with the woody crayon, or add more wax, draw into the wax and make the leaves, right? So it's like a couple different ways that you can do it.
When you say add more wax, are you talking about like a light brown glaze, or would
Just
it
probably a
be
wax medium
just a
glaze.
medium? Okay.
Yeah, because I don't I think if you get into color, then you have to get into opacity. If you can make the color super translucent,
It'd have to be really translucent.
you
Okay.
could try. I mean, and that might work. It just might make it a little bit harder.
I haven't had any luck with it, but okay. All right.
It's just
So
whether it's just really the quality of the line that you want the leaf to have. It's like, do you want the leaf to be, you know, done with incising? Do you want to? It'll probably look more solid. The leaf will look more solid if you just draw it with a woody crayon and color it in
okay.
on top of what you have. And that's probably like the easiest thing to do. Right.
Okay.
And then to add some brown on the black so that there's not
Mm-hmm.
that like black square there.
Pigment, just bring it in. Yeah. Okay. And
Yeah.
then up in the upper left hand, there's some leaves there. Would I bring some of them down or just leave that the way it is?
I feel like they're so abstract. I can't even really tell what it doesn't, they're
Doesn't look
not,
like a leaf.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't feel like, I feel like they're there because, you know, it doesn't matter. I mean, I think compositionally they're fine there.
Okay.
I mean, she's not holding on to them or tossing them. I mean, they're sort of just like, they're like a nature element that's sort of, you know, just bringing up, and they're nice. I mean, and they don't need to do more than that. Like
Okay.
they don't need a bigger job is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. All right. So it's basically the box.
I think the only thing that bothers me about the whole piece is just the box. And I think that's such an easy fix for you. It's just like take a pigment stick in that brown color and just kind of like blend out that line. And, you know, I would draw a leaf, you know,
A couple. Yeah.
yeah, going up. Right.
Great.
Nothing
Yeah, I
crazy.
like that.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and I even like I like these corners. I love this area.
I do
Like
too.
your skirt. I mean, the only other suggestion is maybe that there's a little bit lighter at the bottom. So
Oh,
that like, because it's coming out and there's kind of this idea that there's light in the
mhm.
front. Like maybe just a
Okay.
little bit of like a lighter pink or a lighter blue at the bottom just to make it look like it's coming out the door rather than back. Like it's coming toward, because the light is in the front of the cave, so she's coming out into the light, right?
All right. 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 Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. I love that one.
I really like it too. I don't know.
I
It just
really love it. I love
all
it.
came together. It doesn't always happen.
Beautiful. No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. All right.
So this is one of the, you saw that, and I tried to fix that glow, the gold glow, the backlit glow, and to put in a little bit more snow, and then also to lighten the sky, you know, behind the trees, behind the branches.
Okay, so I'm gonna be a stickler on this. And then
Okay.
okay, so I love the ground. I think looks great. I think she looks great. I think that the moon, is it the sun or the moon? The moon, the sun, the moon,
I was thinking the sun, like
the sun
coming up, yeah,
setting, right?
or setting, yeah, more setting, yeah.
So
It was hard. This is hard for me.
this is complicated. It's complicated. So I feel okay. So I feel like either the sky is not exactly like the right gradient. Like, so it would be brightest behind her head. That makes sense. And it would be maybe, I don't know. I mean, and there's parts of me that just like it for what it is. Like, I don't know that I would fuss with it. I feel like some of these blue spotty things on the ground are maybe a little bit too bright. Like where even
Oh,
though
okay.
she's
Mhm.
like they're just too
I could tone them down. Okay, because
right.
I did pop in just some white, but yeah, okay, I can tone that down. Tone down the
I,
snow.
yeah,
Hmm.
I think the snow is like a little bit too bright. And then I'm trying to figure out if the sides, like the horizon line, like
Hmm.
if that would really be that dark.
I
Do you know
guess
what I mean?
I keep thinking of vignetting, you know, and I was tempted to vignette up, and then yeah. So
No, and I think you did vignette it, which is like I kind of like that stylistically, but then I'm trying to be like, does that make sense like organically? I don't think it makes sense organically, but I also think that the piece looks good. Like I don't think that you always do you know what I'm trying to say? Like I don't think you always have to
an aesthetic, yeah.
you can have an artistic style that doesn't necessarily mirror nature. Like it's just a thing, it's you're the artist. I
Well,
think for me, like I get so this is no information. Like it's so dark
okay.
and
Okay.
it's and then it goes, so then it's like, okay, I can't really go into the landscape because this black is like blocking me here
Okay.
and over
Okay.
here. I'm
Mhm.
just wondering um if it was just a little bit lighter, like maybe just a little bit of this pretty green color.
Okay, the other possible thing I could do would be to extend, the dirt and the snow out more, so it's not, that would kind of lighten and have it darker and darker as it's going out,
Yeah.
but have a little bit more relief than just black there.
Yeah, I think I would do that. I would soften, I would, you know what, and I wouldn't even take anything off. I would just keep adding. So I think that this is add a darker color. So add, like, I love this purpley color here. I
Yeah.
would add just that color on top of these snowflakes to tone them down. So add a little bit of like a, multi sepia pigment stick. Like RNF makes a really nice sepia that's actually quite burgundy. It's not really sepia. I mean, I think of sepia in photography as being brown, but their sepia is like, it's like purple.
Okay.
So
This
that would be a nice color.
this purple is their translucent purple.
It's really pretty.
I like it. Yeah, and I usually.
And I feel like you could take just a little bit of this light green, like make
Mhm.
this looks like green gold or like green gold with a little bit of blue in it, and just do a very light like lifter layer over the black. So it doesn't, you don't have to take the black off, but
Yeah.
just like the black has almost like a color. So it just doesn't
Okay.
look like a wall. Like
Yeah.
it can
Yeah.
be dark. It
Uh-huh.
things it can be dark, but not feel like a frame.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So I think this piece would be more just a little bit, and I think it's beautiful, but just a little bit more sophisticated if it wasn't, if it didn't have those like this,
Yeah.
it's like this side is a block and then this is
Mhm.
blocking you out.
Mhm.
And I think all you need to do is just leave it. Don't scrape, don't go
Yeah.
crazy, but just like add a little bit and
Okay.
maybe add a little bit of purple into the foreground.
Yeah. All right. Down there. Okay.
Yeah, as if that, because what happens at that sunsetty time is the light is all bouncing all around. It's like it's pretty cool. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah, I
There's
like it.
good.
Yeah.
I like it too. I'll tell you one thing you may not be able to see, in this two-dimensional, but again, when I was embedding, now this was like a good Xerox, so it was like magazine weight.
Uh-huh.
Um, I was embedding that, but to hold it down, I kept putting wax over so that it's like this embankment of wax around her skirt.
Down
And
here. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Do you
And
have the small crafting iron?
yes, I do. To
So
just
that's when you need to use the small crafting iron.
okay.
And because you can't really scrape it when you're embedding, if you
Oh,
scrape it, you'll just razor blade that
yeah. Yeah.
photo. So
Okay.
you need to use the little
It's like a little
crafting
triangle.
iron, yeah, the little crafting iron, and just smooth, and
Mhm.
not just swipe it, but smooth so that it's leveling it.
Okay. All
I mean,
right.
technically, when I embed, I try to brush the wax on, put the piece down, brush over it, fuse it, and then just not touch it.
That, no, well,
And
yeah.
I don't, I try not to scrape it. And if I scrape it, I'm probably gonna use like the painted, the palette knife or something. I'm not gonna use a razor blade.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, I haven't tried to scrape the actual her figure at all.
No, I would say I would not. Yeah, I would try not to, right?
Okay, good.
Yeah, that one's lovely. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. And it's funny, from further away, the framing of it's softer, right? So it's like when I zoom in and look at it,
Mhm.
but like even from here, when I look further away, it's more subtle. But do you see how the light
I'll do
blue,
that.
the
Yeah, it's
light
like
blue just makes it too busy. Like there's so much going on in the sky. I think that the
Mhm.
sky is better than the ground, and you don't
Yeah,
want people's eyes to get
yeah.
exhausted by the ground. You want them to go look up, because I think the prettiest part of this is like the figure, but then these trees and these
Oh,
leaves
yeah.
are really pretty,
Mhm.
you
Okay.
know?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's competing. The bottom's competing with
Well, it's
the.
dominant because it's bright and people look at the bright things first.
Yeah, actually, I just did that yesterday. I just put the white in, and after talking to you, yeah, I get it. It
But
doesn't make.
don't take it out, just tone it down. Don't
Okay.
Don't
Mhm.
take it out. Like, I think that too, I really want you to start to think like, I don't need to get rid of that. I just can tone it down, right?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing because it has so much texture. If I started scraping, it would just no, it wouldn't work. I want
No, and you're at a good place with it. Like you don't want to disrupt, where you're at. You just want to add more to
Mhm.
it to make it look better.
Okay, all right, good. That'll keep me busy. So this one, the
Oh, this
last
is
time you had
cool.
said it was so dark, and you know what I
Yeah.
did? I took turpentine. I took all the pigment off of
Yeah, I
uh,
love it.
black, and then I was down to white, and I couldn't go back in the
No,
room
this is beautiful.
for
But
5.
look at this one and look at this one. Do you see how do you see how dark these side? Like I like more. I like these
Photo,
trees. I
yeah.
like more of this landscape. I think that this ground is beautiful, but I think it's too one color.
Still 2. Okay, all
It's
right.
see how it's just the majority of it is still that one color blue. And also it's equal from the back, from the horizon line to the front. So that's not normal. Like
Oh yeah. Okay.
so you have to decide, is it going to be, it's going to be lighter in the front, darker in the back? Probably, right?
Mhm.
So you need to just leave this alone, the front, and then just start adding a little bit of a mid-tone, like in thirds here, and then a little bit of a dark. And you could use like graphite gray.
Oh, I don't have to
Use any
use the purple or the blue.
no, don't use any more color. Just use like a graphite gray.
Okay, get that in
I mean,
there.
and maybe that would work for you. Maybe the burgundy or the like purple and gray would work for you in the other piece too. You don't want to make it too much of any one color. You want
Okay.
to, and I like the way you kind of worked these trees as being like standing out. I mean,
I went
I
back
like
and
them.
I think this is where I used the alcohol ink over
Uh-huh.
the pigments because I knew it would dry quickly
Yeah.
and yeah, and
I
I'm
love it.
finding
I mean, I feel like your circle is so solid. Like maybe it needs like a little bit of a highlight and a shadow in the circle, but I also think it's fine. It's just an art. It's like an art style. It's just, I mean, it's just the way you decide to describe. I don't think it. I think it works. I
okay.
don't.
So I think I won't touch it then. I'm just as like I'll
Yeah,
work
I mean, I
work
think
on
it works.
the okay.
Because it's not really it's representational of a planet and it's your art. It's not like it has to look like a real, you know what
Realistic.
I mean? It's obviously artistic, it's obviously your creation. You don't have to make it look like anything. Don't
So another question I have is that back the ground with the back with some of that glow. So it has some of the yellow, and then
uh
I brought in some of the purple, and I don't know if that works for you or not. What
let me
is
make
it?
it bigger. Hold on one second.
It's around the skirt. To me, it looks like it's so brown. I want it to be a little bit more purple,
Well, you know
but
what? Honestly, it's funny. Now that I blow it up, I actually just want that to be her skirt. Is that the kind of wax that
almost
you're, is that the kind of wax that you're saying that got there because you embedded the picture?
yes, yes. And
So,
and then I started putting, color on it to make that glow and all that. Yeah.
well, I think her skirt looks better that big. I would just make it
Oh, just make
black.
the whole skirt. Oh, okay.
I would make it her skirt. I think that her skirt is too skinny for her presence. Like she's like the one thing there. I think that that skirt should just go bigger and that this should go
Mhm.
solid, like black fabric.
And but it does have some shading, so I'll try and keep some of that. But
I think if you just put some, I think if you just put like, this is actually gray. So again, like maybe you
yeah,
could use like the graphite
the
gray
graphite.
and just
Okay.
make it like so that it's not as translucent that you don't see the ground underneath, then
Mhm.
it'll just look like her skirt. I mean, from far away, it does already to me, but
Yeah.
now,
Interesting.
yeah, I would just make that her whole thing her dress and not try not to blend in the ground.
Okay. Because I was having so much trouble with it. That's a great solution.
Yeah, that's her dress. I mean,
Okay.
that's all of that wax. That's the flows of her dress.
Mhm.
I mean,
Great.
that's how I kind of interpreted it in the beginning, but it's really beautiful, Pam. I think once you kind of gradient this blue and
Mhm.
solidify that black, kind of like you did the trees, it's just gonna look
Mhm.
great. It's just gonna look great.
Okay.
And just remember, it's, remember like when we were back in the dark room, I always joke about this. Remember the 3-second rule? It's like people think that like 3 more seconds is like not a big
Oh,
deal, but in a
oh, it
print,
is a big deal. Yeah.
it's a big deal. Like the difference between a contrast filter of like 3.5 and 4, that's one step, but it totally changes everything.
Well, and you'll see some of the later pictures that I'm sending you. Yeah, I just feel like I went past the 3 seconds. Oh, so this is one of
Right. And but then but you can probably, rather than scraping and
them.
disrupting where you're at, you can probably just use a pigment stick or
Mhm.
a woody crayon. Sometimes I think too, when things get like mushy or messy and they're not popping, sometimes just some type of line, even if it's a woody crayon, just a line of some type that gives you, something on top of the mess is enough to hold the object together, right?
Okay. So this one, I was trying to do the white on white that I
Okay.
keep coming back to. Her hair, I want to do things to her hair. That's not where I want it all. I just had to stop because we had people visiting.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so you can tell what I've done, and to me it feels too gray and dark. I wanted to have some white, and I also started thinking about, you've always taught me to have either horizon line or divide the canvas somehow, either
Right.
vertical or horizontal. And I keep coming back to this thing where I have a circle and I'm working around the circle, and that was what was happening in the garden piece. Um, and I did the same thing here. And I thought, well, should I be still having maybe one side is still lighter? I didn't set it up that way, but put more like white pigment stick on the right
Well,
side.
wait, let me ask you this. And like, this is like, I mean, what is your intention for this? I mean, to me, this is about like, it reminds me of like a vintage, you remember like when you'd get the tin
Yeah.
cup in the little
Yeah.
cases?
Like a tin type.
This
Yeah.
reminds me of like the casing with the embedded, like the embossed leather, flowers, like
Mhm.
it's just a profile of her, right?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, what is your intention with the wax? I mean, to frame it or to,
Yeah, I found that, I just wanted to do the rough brush and then put pigment to pick up that texture of the rough, like this around the edges. And then I had the stencil flowers. And then I did your thing of the bomb drop, the gray, and then bomb drop the white.
oh
And I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
sure I
yeah.
like that. I'm not sure I like that. I don't know
Oh, I
whether
love the textures you have here. I'm just not sure. I mean, you can go right up to her with like a medium gray. I mean, I'm just not sure, outside of decorating her, like what your intention is. I mean, I think that these stencil flowers are nice. Um,
or is it part of the image and the narrative? Is that what is
yeah,
that
but
what
what I don't try to explain to me the narrative. Explain where you want this to try to go. Like, is it just about like sort of a time capsule where it's like it's nostalgia and like
Yeah,
who is
I was just saying it as a portrait. I
right?
mean, basically, I mean that's it. Like, there's no big story behind it or anything. So
Right.
yeah, the flowers would be just embellishment, and I was trying to make butterfly wings, but they're not subtle. I don't like how they came out.
I know, and I'm no, but I don't know. I mean, in a way, their awkward like attachment to her is kind of interesting. What is on her head here?
Actually, I don't know.
It looks like a
I'm
flower.
not sure.
This looks like a
No,
flower.
yeah, I have to go back to the original to see, because I think it was much softer in the original, and then I messed it up with putting some black, and yeah.
Well, look,
Um,
if you take black pigment stick, right, and you put it in her hair so that her hair is solid,
yeah.
you need to do something about her dress. Like I don't know that I mind. Wait, let me see something.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know that I mind the butterfly wings. I mean, I think they're kind of
Well, it's funny, those they just came up when I was doing Photoshop on the photograph of her, and I thought, oh,
Yeah.
those are wings there. Why don't I just
I
use
mean,
them?
I like the quality of I like the agey kind of quality that you have. So like like if you were here and I was gonna work on this, I would probably just start to try to like organize what you have. One of the
Mhm,
things I would do to organize it would be to probably take like a dark gray or
mhm,
black,
mhm.
and try to like,
Hello?
I'm here.
Oh, I didn't
Hear
know if
me?
you froze.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, no, I didn't. I was just, so
Okay.
like I would take black and try to like see, even just like making her hair like more on the
Oh,
top
yeah.
layer,
Oh,
right?
her
And
hair needs fixing for sure. There's no, yeah.
but like look how much that sort of pops this up. And you have no color in here, right? So
No.
what if you took a pretty color?
Yeah, I was thinking of just a little touch of color once I figure out, the white to black, white, gray, black, all that. Um,
Like here's like, even here's
mhm,
just orange, right? I mean, maybe,
mhm.
wait, can you hang on one second? Hey,
Yeah.
Duncan, can you do me a huge favor? Can you call Brian and get my car or find out what's going on with my car? They haven't called me all day and I have to have my car in the morning. Thank you. Um, like see how the color, I mean, like
Yeah,
if you wanted to
sure.
make these flowers, right? And then
Mhm.
like let's say, I mean, even her hair, just with her hair like that, it makes it makes
Yeah.
her a bigger presence in
Mhm.
comparison to all that's going around. I mean, I love what you did with the texture. The other thing that you could do too is that like this line is still like it's bothersome, right?
Oh, real the framing bothered. Oh, okay.
Framing, yeah, I mean, just to soften it, it makes it like more, just kind of more organic, right?
Okay.
Like, I don't know, like you can add wax on, I mean, even just a little bit
Yeah.
right there. Do you see how that kind of
Mhm.
helps?
Yeah, it blends it in.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you're at the point too with your encaustics where you're getting enough that's interesting and good that you just kind of need to like figure out how to just take it to the next level. Like look
Mhm.
how, I mean, that fixing her hair, adding a little bit of color in that flower, blending this hard line at the top and on the side is enough. It just kind of, because it feels like it's like a memory of a person that just got kind of like grown over, like old
Mhm.
flowers decay, like, like a
Yeah.
found object. It has like that aged quality to it,
Yeah.
all the things that we kind of like.
Mhm.
Even though these flowers are kind of like misformed or whatever, they're kind of interesting. And then
I
I would do something about her dress. So whether that's,
I don't know what that is. Yeah, I really don't know what that was. I may have blotched some pigment stick on there by mistake. I have a question on the lower left hand side. See how the color is different? I didn't put that color in. That was the
over
wax.
here.
Yeah, and sometimes the wax comes out yellowish. I mean, sometimes it's, clear, really clear, and then sometimes it has am I like overheating it or something?
Yeah,
Or
I was gonna say maybe it got a little bit burned.
so the wax can get burnt. Wow.
Yeah, the
Okay.
wax can get burned, and it, sometimes you got to just like switch your wax. If you've heated it up and cooled it down and heated it up and cooled it down a bunch of times, it can
Oh,
get a
that's
little
what I
bit,
did.
yeah, it
Okay.
can get a little bit
Mhm.
funky. So just dump it out
And
and
start over. Or
and
I could
start over, or mix it with, fresher.
well, I'll put it with the mud.
Yeah, or yeah, add it to the mud. I mean, I don't know, like this piece is, I mean, and I love it now. Do you know that
I like what you did. Yeah.
do you know
Yeah.
that Luis Gonzalez Palma guy? Oh my God, wait.
Let me see the pictures. You're always showing me new artists and photographers. Guatemalan photographer.
Oh
Wow.
my God, love his stuff.
Oh, is he? Oh, yes, yes. You showed me the very first
So
class. There.
this piece that you made just reminds me so much of that. But like But like, look at these crazy cool headdresses. I mean, you could be
Yeah.
adding headdresses like this in encaustic, you know?
Mhm. Actually, I have,
Look how cool. I mean, look how cool, right?
yeah, I've been thinking of him because I have a black and white image that I want to ask you to print.
This
That's
one reminds me of you too.
it's like along these like, ooh, look at that.
I
Wow.
know, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I know, it's so cool.
Yeah.
I know, I love his work. I've seen him in New York. I love his work so much. But
Now,
that this piece is reminding me a lot of that. Like I wouldn't do that much to it. I think it's really beautiful. It reminds me of like an old Western, you know,
yeah. I
native
think her face,
child.
somehow her face and the hair, her hair, I mean, that's just who she is. She just calls for that, I think.
I
Anyway.
love it. I would let it be as ambiguous and like
Okay,
dreamy and blendy. I would let it be all the things.
great.
I like it. I would just give like soften this line up there
Mhm.
and make her hair a little bit darker. I think it's lovely.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
good.
Okay, wait. No, I lost where we are. Hold on.
Now the next one is another, I'm trying, it's another one where I'm still working on it, but I'm trying to get that white on white, or, that monotone look. Um,
Okay, hold on.
yeah,
Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is looking cool.
yeah, I'm
I
liking it.
like it.
Um, I'm
I
not,
like it. I love it.
I'm not quite, I'm thinking, and tell me if I'm on the right track. I'm thinking of putting white pigment stick on the flowers, just, um,
I think her dress needs to go a little bit darker.
oh, really? Because I was it was black and I put a lot of just wax medium on it to tone
Yeah,
it.
I think you right. So and then now you need to go one more step and add a little bit of pigment stick so that it has
Bigger
a little
black.
bit of push and pull.
Okay.
Not
Okay.
everywhere, but like, like in one of
Okay.
these pleats, it's darker black, and maybe one of her
Okay.
shoulder, right, and somewhere along her head, and like, yeah,
Mhm.
and some of these flowers are already bright. I mean, you could put a little bit more on them, but it's just beautiful. I love all these gray tones.
So
It's
you don't
really
think it's
pretty.
too gray? Because I keep using
No.
your picture as my kind of as my standard. Okay, how am I going to? And your picture is much lighter and whiter, and this to me seems darker gray than I meant to
Well,
go.
I think if you make something dark black, it'll pop.
Mhm.
You need to
Pop
sort
it.
of like
Okay.
make something darker to make something lighter. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Well,
does. In the
right.
middle.
So if you put a little bit of graphite gray or black uh
Mhm.
pigment
Okay.
stick in here, not everywhere, right?
Mhm.
But like a little bit where there's shadows, a little bit in the front of her skirt, a little bit in the side, a little bit in this arm. And then you could put a white, if you wanted something white, it would be like over here, right? On the
On the
right
right side.
side, if you
Mhm.
want to make that area, leave this side alone, right?
Okay. All right.
And
So
then maybe a couple of these are light, but don't make these flowers light, just over here and then over there.
don't put anything over the flowers on the right-hand
I
side.
wouldn't. I would put a little bit of black in her dress, a little bit of white under
Okay.
her arm, and a little bit of white over on the other side, where
Okay.
these flowers that are closest to the foreground in this lower left corner.
So I have another question with the stencils, because again, I'm looking at the picture that you had sent me. I love that picture. With
Mhm.
your stencil of the flowers on the bottom, I noticed you have like graphite gray coming in like to the stems, not on the top, but just on the edge of the stem of the wax, like
Uh-huh.
it's built up, and
Yeah.
then it's white. And I kept trying to do that with the pigment set, put it in, and it just makes a mess. How did you do that?
I think I probably just used encaustic wax. I think I do this. I usually do the stencils with color encaustic wax, and I gradient the stencils. Sometimes the stencils too are just dirty and stuff comes off of them.
No, it wasn't like that. Like, like an old color comes off. I mean,
Uh-huh.
and there was what it's hard to describe, but see the stems of these flowers. Let's say
Yeah.
your stems were a little thicker, but not much,
Yeah.
and it would be wax on the top, whitish wax on the top, but the sides of stencil of the brand of the stem
Mhm.
had like gray just
Mhm.
there. And it didn't look like something left over. I just thought it was cool, and I can't do it. I couldn't figure.
It's probably just the gradient process that I do when I mix the wax on the palette and then put all the different colors in the stencil. Sort of.
Oh, okay. Because I was just
It looks
using,
like you used wax medium for these.
I used a very light white on the left-hand side, and then I was going more, and on the right-hand side, it's just medium.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you wanted to try to do a couple more of the same stencil in a white wax, paint with like white, neutral white, or
Right.
gray
Okay.
and white and caustic wax,
Mhm.
that could give you an interesting look too, where you just go right over top of them.
So I should, wait a minute. On this picture, or I should do it like a test, on a test thing.
No,
Just
you could do it right on this picture, right in this corner.
just put a little bit of gray on the edges of the stencil and put it over.
Well, you just do the stencil. I mean, I'm assuming this is the stencil shape, right? This like
Right.
this leaf. You could
Mhm.
do one more like right here, right? And one more over, just go right over top of them. You could also do, which might be interesting, a layer. It might be too hard to do a stencil on top of these stencils, but if you take this layer, put wax medium over it, and then do another layer where you're doing white.
Oh, uh-huh. Oh, I
I
see.
think that might work better because so put a layer of encaustic wax medium over here so it
Mhm.
flattens the area.
Right. And then do
Fuse
another.
it, yeah, fuse it very lightly, and then just put another, because that'll make it really 3D. So use white encaustic wax paint and a little bit of gray, and then put them
Mm.
another layer of stencils over there.
Oh, cool. Yeah, okay. I think I'll do that I'll do a test first before I do it on. Okay, great. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. So,
Okay,
got it. Thank
awesome.
you. All right, cool.
All right.
Now, I don't know how we're doing for time because
Oh
I've
wait,
got,
I've got to go grab my. Hang on one second. No, we can
yeah,
do 15 more minutes if you have
okay.
another email. Yeah, it's fine. Let me grab my charger. Let me grab my charger. Hang on
Okay.
one second because my battery just said it was. Or actually, I can move upstairs. Hang on one second.
Mhm.
Oh wait, I'm gonna stop recording for a second just because
Sure.
I don't want you to have to listen to all of that.